Welcome back to Movie House. I'm your host, David, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Connor.
The podcast is loose, baby.
Nice.
I did it.
So today, we're going to be talking about Beetlejuice. Beetlejuice.
Oh, hold your tongue, or else he'll come.
Okay, so...
That's right, David. We're talking about... I better not say it.
You better not for a third time.
I guess it'd be my first time.
Oh, good point.
We're talking about Beetlejuice. Tim Burton's second film, his sophomore effort, released in 1988.
Mm-hmm. Let's pull out the fucking Ouija board so that Connor, who's hanging there next to me, can crack on and cut the rope and tell me what the fuck's going on
It's
here.
okay, David. I'm a ghost now, and I've got here the handbook for the recently podcasted. What's this? A recap? Well, okay. Well, you see, Beetlejuice opens up with Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis playing the Maitlands in a lovely house in a lovely little town. Except on their way back from the hardware store, they die! A little dog sends their car off a bridge and into a watery grave.
Does indeed.
And then they find themselves trapped in their house as ghosts. And they can't leave the house because of a big sandworm from David Lynch's Dune.
Yeah.
And they think, well, this isn't so bad. We could just live as ghosts in our house. And then the house gets sold to the Dietzes. Delia Dietz, her husband from Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
And their little Winona Ryder. And also their gay friend.
Yeah,
He's not moving into the house, but he's there a lot. Also.
Interior decorator kind of dude.
Yeah, current interior decorator, former paranormal investigator.
Yeah.
And thus begins a war between the Maitlands and the Dietzes, as the Maitlands constantly try and find a way to scare the Dietzes out of their home, and they can't do it. And in the end, they have to reach out to Beetlejuice, the ghost with the most. He's a dangerous spectre, and they have to deal with him, and he ends up trying to marry an underage Winona Ryder, and then he gets banished to hell. And the Maitlands and the Dietzes are able to co-inhabit the house because they came together to defeat Beetlejuice. The end.
Yeah. Okay, Connor.
Yes?
Great recap there.
Oh, thank you very much.
Obviously, Beetlejuice came out before your birth.
Oh, by a good 10 or so years.
What was your sort of first introduction to Tim Burton films?
Well, similarly to a lot of people of my generation, my first introduction unknowingly to Tim Burton was through Batman and then Batman Returns. Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson, Batman films. And then subsequently I saw a few of the other ones that were released in the 2000s. Your Charlie and the Chocolate Factories. Your Planet of the Apes, 2001 with Mark Wahlberg. But I think when I first realised as an early teenager who Tim Burton was and sort of pieced together that all these movies came from the same director, I kind of immediately turned against him. I think by that point I was like, I know a lot of people love this guy, but most of these movies are really bad. This was a dark time for him as well, where it was a lot of like Dark Shadows. That was one that had just come out. We're seeing Dark Shadows and this is such an abysmally hollow film.
Yeah.
It's an unfunny comedy propped up by these actors who seemingly work with Tim Burton on every single film that he does. This was right at that time where people were sick of Johnny Depp for the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise as well.
Yeah.
And just being like, this is nothing. This is a hollow shell painted in black and white stripes. Because it's a Tim Burton hollow shell.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was like, I liked his Batman movies, but this was a time where we're talking about 2012, so I was really into the Dark Knight trilogy at the time. So I wouldn't say I turned on the Michael Keaton version of Batman, but I wasn't really interested in it as much.
Yeah.
That was the style at the time.
There are a lot less action in it than, say, the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, definitely. I actually would say that I've turned around now. I prefer Batman 89 to the Dark Knight, but that's neither here nor there. You know what, I would go as far as that I've since turned around a little bit on Tim Burton. He still makes mostly bad films. Dumbo.
Oh,
Dumbo came out a few years ago.
I forgot about that.
I haven't seen Beetlejuice, or whatever the fucking sequel's called. That's in cinemas now.
I also have not seen that yet.
Double the Beetle, 4 times the juice. And then also I'm going to ramble a bit here. The other part of my turning against him was Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas. Not his film. Co-wrote it and produced it, but slapped his name on it. It's Henry Selick's A Nightmare Before Christmas, who also did Coraline.
Yeah,
and James and the Giant Peach and a bunch of other movies. It's his film.
Yeah.
I think that added to my
dislike.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people would be under the misinformation because of the misrepresentation, I guess, of that film being a Tim Burton film. And it's not.
I would say it's his most famous film, which is quite funny considering it's not his.
Yeah. I would also say that it is probably his most well-known film.
I would say that I've come around to Tim Burton enough to where I like The Corpse Bride.
Yeah.
I can appreciate elements of that weird Willy Wonka film that he did.
Yeah.
I love Sweeney Todd. That might be my favourite musical film of all time.
I wouldn't go there for me as one of my favourites, but I really, really like Sweeney Todd. I think it's a great film. And independently as a musical, it's a great musical as well. Yeah. But for me, I would not have put it quite so high in the list of musicals. But
what's your favourite musical? Just as an aside.
Struggling between the two Hugh Jackmans. I'm
Les
struggling.
Mis and Greatest Showman?
Yeah, I'm struggling between the two. Have you not?
I don't want to see Les Mis, but I'll watch Greatest Showman with you.
We're watching one of those for this show
next year.
Some point.
We'll do Greatest Showman.
Yeah.
We should have done it to celebrate Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah, we could
have watched The Greatest Showman and The Proposal.
Actually, both pretty damn good movies.
Yeah. I love Sandra Bullock.
Yeah.
Especially in The Proposal. Oh, yeah. I have to add one more thing.
Uh-huh.
I also love the movie Big Fish with Hugh McGregor. I think that's probably his best film. And it's so underrated.
It is a very unknown, really, film. I only watched that about 6 years ago for the first time.
I watched it 2 years ago for the first time.
Wow. It's one of those movies that just sort of disappeared.
Yeah, sadly.
Mm-hmm.
But back to great films that he did, like Batman and Mars Attacks and, of course, Beetlejuice.
Correct, yes.
David, what's your experience with Tim Burton as a filmmaker?
Being a little bit older than yourself, I was at the right age at the right time for A Nightmare Before Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I absolutely loved that movie. It was cracking. I never realised for years that it basically wasn't a Tim Burton film. I tell you when I realised. Coraline came out.
2009.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When Coraline came out, I was like, oh, this obviously must be a Tim Burton film as well. I haven't seen a good movie of his in a while. And then
because you hadn't seen Sweeney Todd, which came out in 2007, or
correct.
Big Fish, which was 2005.
I hadn't seen Big Fish, and I hadn't seen Sweeney Todd for about 3 years or 4 years after it came out. Is when I first saw Sweeney Todd. I found it in a charity shop.
I also found Sweeney Todd in a charity shop.
Really? Nice. As in our charity shops.
My current Steelbook Blu-ray that I have with a massive fucking dent in the middle.
Oh, right.
It's when it gets a release on 4K soon, I'm going to replace it.
Right.
Because it drives me nuts. But yes. Coraline.
Yeah, so when Coraline came out, I obviously was under the impression it was a Tim Burton film because of the similarities between the animation style, all that good stuff. And I was a bit older, so I looked into Coraline a little bit more. Mm-hmm. I was never really too interested in who made things at that time when I was a bit younger. And then I looked at Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas and realised that he only produced and co-wrote it. I was just like, what the fuck?
Well, he has technically designed some of the characters.
Yeah.
Jack Skellington, primarily.
Yeah. I saw some original sort of sketches from some of the characters. I think the the dog was also designed by him or something as well.
Yeah, that's probably one of his trademarks is a little weird dog.
Yeah. But that was about the extent of his involvement in the movie.
Yeah.
So,
because he was doing Batman Returns. I think he was going to direct it originally. And then he was contracted on to do Batman Returns, and so ended up not doing it at all and handing it over to Henry Selick. But I think everything worked out for the best.
I think so, yeah. I think it worked out really nicely because, let's face it, at this point, Tim Burton still got to have his name on it. It's one of his most famous films, even though he didn't do it.
Yeah.
And Henry Selick had that to slap on his CV as a cracking film.
Which got him the job doing James and the Giant Peach a few years later.
Precisely. I actually really liked that.
I love that.
I thought it was cracking.
Years, but
yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of like my introduction to Tim Burton, and not too long after A Nightmare Before Christmas, I ended up watching Beetlejuice because, again, I was about that sort of the rightish sort of age.
Yeah. Probably
slightly below the rated age, but whatever. I had said about the fact that I really liked A Nightmare Before Christmas. My father, he was the one that suggested Beetlejuice and provided the disc for it. So I had it on film. So
when I saw Beetlejuice for the first time, I don't remember when it was exactly, but I think it was in high school.
Right.
I think I recorded it off the TV. So it was on Film 4 or something.
Right.
I think I recorded it. It may have actually had a clip of Tim Burton talking about it. When Film 4 used to do those things where they would get directors or actors and blast them with bright light against a white background and have them talk about a film.
Yeah.
They're going to talk about like 10 films, and then they would have those 10 films on, and every time they were on,
they would cut out the relevant sections and slap that together.
They would put that at the front. That was how I first saw it. And then I think I saw it on Netflix or something a couple of times years later.
Right.
And now I always have it on 4K, crisp Blu-ray. That 4K Blu-ray that I got like a year or two ago was the first time I ever owned a copy of the film.
Right.
It was always one of those ones where I'd catch it on TV or, as I say, on streaming.
I have thoroughly checked charity shops. I've never actually seen Beetlejuice in a charity shop.
I used to order it on Amazon. Be a man of the modern world and order it from a giant conglomerate.
No. It's also going to be like triple the price right now.
It was like £25 when I bought it on 4K. That's the no, wait, sorry, I got it on sale. It was 15.
All right.
Why don't you walk into a FOP or a HMV and just buy it there?
Yeah. None within walkable distance that I can be bothered doing.
Train.
Not at those prices.
You drive.
Not with that car.
Always an excuse to not pick up a physical copy of Beetlejuice, this one.
I'll check the charity shops again. We have enough of them.
Wherever we are.
Yeah. Wherever.
In hell. I forgot I'm in hell.
Oh, of course.
Or the afterlife or whatever.
Purgatory or
I can't go to the charity shops. I'm stuck here in this podcasting studio. Forever. But David, yes. I think it's time. We're far enough in now. We can jump into Trivia Juice.
Yes, it is.
Are you excited for Trivia Juice?
I am indeed very excited about Trivia
I have
Juice.
more than 40 pieces of trivia.
Fuck my life. I am considering it. Let's go for it. Toss me into the sand dunes.
With the big sandworm?
Please.
This was the first DVD to ever be sent out by Netflix in 1998.
Holy shit.
They have it framed in their head office.
Nice. I almost had a copy of it on VHS.
I've never even seen a VHS of Beetlejuice.
It's bright green.
Okay.
The VHS
is that your one bit of trivia?
That is.
Let's start doing that. Bring me one piece of trivia. Every episode.
I'll make up some trivia every episode.
Michael Keaton has said this is his favourite of his own films.
That makes sense. It's a lot of nonsense and fun, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm. Warner Bros. Originally wanted to call the film House Ghosts. As a joke, Tim Burton suggested the name Scared Sheetless and was horrified when they started considering using it. I'd watch Scared Sheetless. Maybe not as this movie.
No.
But it was a different film with that name, sure.
Yeah.
Beetlejuice is only in the film for about 15 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Tim Burton feared that the Day-O sequence wouldn't go over well with audiences because he didn't find it funny.
All right.
Which is weird. Get a funny bone, man.
Yeah.
Michael Keaton came up with much of the character's look himself, telling the makeup department he wanted mold on his face and his hair to look as if he'd stuck his finger in a plug socket.
Which kind of odd considering Beetlejuice kind of almost looks like Tim Burton does
Now?
then and now.
It's a little bit of a similarity.
Yeah. Anyway.
He looks like Robert Smith from The Cure's little brother.
He does.
Then and now.
Yeah.
Catherine O'Hara, who plays Delia Dietz, probably best known for her role in Home Alone. Kevin! Met her future husband, production designer Bo Welch, on this film.
Good on them.
When Glenn Shaddix, who plays Otho, passed away in 2010, Day-O was the last song performed at his memorial service.
Right. Nice.
When Adam and Barbara, who are the Maitlands, Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis, are in the office, a voice on the PA system announces, Flight 409 is arriving at Gate 3. United Airlines Flight 409 crashed into a mountain in Wyoming on October 6th, 1955.
Yeah, I had heard about that one.
The Maitlands are some of the only ghosts in the film whose appearance doesn't reflect how they died. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I did notice that. I have pretty much everyone else, almost everyone else.
I guess Beetlejuice as well, but is he a ghost or is he a demon? It's hard to...
It's hard to get your head around whether or not he is, because it's alluded that him and that old bat that's got her throat slit.
She says he was her assistant at one point.
Yeah, which
was
begs
implied
the
that he's a
question
ghost.
that he committed suicide?
Yeah. The reason that the Maitlands don't look how they died is because it was felt that having the actors be wet the entire time would have been too uncomfortable. Which makes sense.
That's fair. They are on screen a lot.
I guess maybe you could interpret it as everyone who's dead doesn't perceive themselves as looking how they died.
But everyone else sees them as how they died.
Yeah.
So they would be appearing bloated and wet to everyone else.
Yeah. The original plan for the dinner scene would have involved the guests dancing to an Ink Spots song. However, Catherine O'Hara and Jeffrey Jones, who plays Charles Dietz, suggested a calypso song be used in the scene instead.
Well, I'm glad they did. It's much better.
The idea of the film was born out of the success of Poltergeist, the concept being to flip the idea and have the ghosts be protagonists and the new people living in the house would be awful.
Right.
The Maitland's bumper sticker reads, I break for animals. Jack Skellington can be seen as the skeleton head on top of Beetlejuice's merry-go-round. This character had appeared in sketches by Tim Burton dating back to the early 80s and was going to be the lead in Henry Selick's A Nightmare Before Christmas. I wrote that just in case we didn't mention it.
Yeah.
The giant snake scene had been filmed before Michael Keaton was cast, and the animatronic snake used bore no resemblance to him.
Really?
Yeah, some additional film was shot using stop motion, so the snake would have his appearance.
Right, okay.
So
I was going to say that, I was like, that was one
just
hell of a coincidence
looks
otherwise.
just fucking like him.
Yeah.
The name Beetlejuice came from a bright red star in the constellation of Orion.
Never actually thought about where that name came from. I thought they just plucked it from their ass.
Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
In the TV show Community, a character says the name Beetlejuice once in season 1, then again in season 2, and then a third time in season 3. An extra can be seen walking by dressed as Beetlejuice after his name is said in the third season.
Nice.
It took a lot of time to convince cast members to sign up for the film as they thought the script was too weird. Gina Davis was the only cast member who would commit to the project at first. Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, Catherine O'Hara and Sylvia Sidney all said no at least once.
Wow.
Producer David Geffen had to convince Michael Keaton's manager to have him meet with Tim Burton. Once Keaton said yes, Burton personally called Sidney and begged her to do the movie, and they flew out to meet with O'Hara to convince her.
Bloody hell.
Originally, Beetlejuice's scary face that he shows Adam and Barbara was going to be seen, and an elaborate makeup effect was created, but ultimately went unused.
Oh, okay.
I don't get why you would try and show that.
You never actually get to see that horror.
Aye. Lets you fill it in with your imagination.
Precisely.
Delia can be seen repurposing clothing throughout the film, most noticeably turning leather gloves into a headpiece and fashioning Charles's red sweater into trousers.
Yeah, I remember seeing the fucking headband / headpiece with the fucking glove sitting right over her forehead. Ridiculous.
Although it was set in Connecticut, the film was shot in a small town of East Corinth in Vermont.
Oh, okay.
This one I thought was interesting. I had never noticed this before, right?
Okay.
A movie theatre full of ghosts can be seen through Juno's office window.
Really?
When the film was released in cinemas, the scene created the illusion that the living and dead audiences could see each other. Among the ghosts in the audience are a red skeleton, a green skeleton, and two men in suits meant to look like the Blues Brothers.
Huh.
It's the scene where she has the dead football team in her office.
Yeah.
The audience can be seen through the window.
Oh.
It's the reverse shot where you see the Maitlands.
Yeah.
In between them.
Yeah.
That's,
yeah.
there you go. That's what that is.
I remember seeing that now. Yeah.
How cool is that?
That is cool.
The scene where Beetlejuice eats the fly is a tribute to the horror film The Fly from 1958.
Mm-hmm.
Gina Davis starred in The Fly, 1986, opposite Jeff Goldblum as Seth Brundle, but the role was originally offered to Michael Keaton, who turned it down.
All right.
During the gift exchange scene early in the film, Barbara's wrapping paper has Beatles on it.
Yeah, I spotted that.
A toy line was released in conjunction with the film and featured action figures of most of Beetlejuice's incarnations, as well as Otho, Adam, and the shrunken head man from the waiting room.
I've seen the shrunken head man for sale at one point in time.
Yeah.
Back when I first discovered eBay.
Very weird that they would only be like versions of Beetlejuice, Otho, Adam, and the shrunken head man.
Yeah.
None of Barbara or Lydia.
Apparently not.
This was the 10th highest grossing film of 1988, and its success spawned an animated series that was loosely based on the film.
What?
Yeah.
There was an animated series?
Beetlejuice, the animated series.
I don't even remember that.
Neither do I, but it was big in America.
Maybe it never actually made it to the UK.
Quite possibly. A set of screen-used foam latex prosthetic pieces, the faces of Adam and Barbara, when they pull their faces out.
Mm-hmm.
All those were found in an English couple's home during filming for a UK show called Cash in the Attic.
Oh, man.
The pieces were in such poor condition that they couldn't be sold.
Oh, that's a hell of a shame.
Aye. I'd love to have those sitting in the studio.
Yeah.
For Movie House, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Charles mentions having commissioned a talking Marcel Marceau statue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Marcel Marceau was a famous mime.
So he was.
The sound that Juno's beeper makes is Chopin's Funeral March.
Right, okay.
When Adam finds the advert for Beetlejuice, he actually says the name 3 times but pronounces it Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
So the incantation doesn't work.
Yeah. One of the things that I really like about that whole thing there is the fact that obviously the movie title is spelled Beetlejuice. So like beetle and juice, the way it sounds.
Aye.
But his actual name spelling is completely different.
Betelgeuse.
Yeah.
Alec Baldwin hates this film.
What the fuck?
That's one of my trivia notes. Alec Baldwin hates this film.
Why?
No idea.
I actually quite like Alec Baldwin in this film.
I thought you could say in general. I was going to go
No.
bang!
No. God. No, I do not. And long before that, I was never a big fan of Alec Baldwin.
No, I like him in this.
I like him in this.
And nothing else.
I liked him in Friends.
Was he in Friends?
He was in Friends.
I like him in The Cat in the Hat.
Oh, yeah. I probably liked him in that. I quite liked that film. I just can't remember what he even did in it.
Yeah, I should have put Alec Baldwin in Beetlejuice and let him shoot Beetlejuice. Lydia's wedding dress is bright red. This is according to the old rhyme, married in red, better off dead.
Yeah.
The original ending for the film was significantly darker and would have featured Lydia dying in a fire and joining her friends in the afterlife.
Maybe.
Don't want to
maybe
encourage kids to light themselves on fire.
Yeah.
Because the afterlife is so cool.
Yeah. I'm glad she lightened up as a character.
Yeah.
Like she went from goth, ready to slit her own wrists, sort of goth emo at the start of the film, right through to Matilda at the end.
She's still a goth, though. I like that her style doesn't change. This isn't the Breakfast Club.
Her style almost changes. It gets a little bit lighter. It gets a bit lighter. It's at the very least the level of dress that she's in.
She's in her school uniform.
I know, but when she rocks up at the start of the film, would at least allude that she's going to be styling her hair and any accessories along the lines of very dark and accessorized like that, even during her school. Whereas when she's at school at the end of the film, she's very much just normal.
She does have her hair and her makeup like that in earlier scenes in the film as well, though. She doesn't always have it in the points.
No, she doesn't always have it in like points and little twists. She doesn't always have it like that, but she's quite frequently she actually looks very very, very gothy. Like very, like I know you hate Dark Shadows, but very, very Johnny Depp Dark Shadows goth.
Oh God, the tree in the model was not meant to fall down.
All right.
Michael Keaton improvised the line, "Nice fucking model," when it did.
Nice.
In early drafts of the script, Lydia's mother is named Evelyn. She and Charles are divorced, and she remains in New York with Lydia's little sister. Her and the little sister were meant to be guests at the dinner party.
Oh, right, okay.
In the musical adaptation of Beetlejuice on Broadway...
I forgot that even existed.
Me too. It is explained that Lydia's mother, named Emily, died shortly before the story's events take place. And this is presented as a reason for Lydia's depression and her interest in the afterlife.
Okay. All right.
I actually like that.
I like that too. That makes a good amount of sense.
Incorporate that into the headcanon for the movie.
Yeah. That also makes a lot more sense as to why she's significantly more interested in the mother-like figure.
Yeah.
Of
Barbara.
Barbara, thank you.
Because they do mention in the film that Delia Dietz isn't her mother.
Yeah, that's her stepmother, because she says about your mother, and she's like, stepmother. Aye. So that's clearly in there. So it's quite, like, I always assumed that her mother must be dead or something.
Yeah.
Because, like, why she's so readily wanting this person kind of like as a mother figure.
Yeah.
If she's got 3 mother figures at the end of the film. She's got her mother. She's got her ghost mother, and she's got a stepmother.
Yeah.
And her stepmother is okay doing Beetlejuice sculptures at the end, but she also seems to have calmed down quite considerably and seems to have become a bit nicer.
Yeah.
Especially considering she's letting them have most of the house.
Or some of the house, at least.
A good portion of it, yeah.
Aye. Otho says at the dinner party, you know what they say about people who commit suicide? In the afterlife, they become civil servants.
Mm-hmm.
All of the people who work at the afterlife office are suicide victims.
Mm-hmm.
The beauty queen receptionist has slit wrists.
Mm-hmm.
There's a hanging man in the filing office. There's the other guy who presumably threw himself into traffic. Mm-hmm. And Juno.
Yeah,
and Juno has the slit throat.
Yeah. Which also would bring into question the original ending as well. If she committed suicide in a fire.
No, she wasn't going to commit suicide.
Oh, right, okay. She was just going to die in a fire. All right. Well, I was going to say, because if she decided to willingly jump into a fire,
she'd start working there.
She'd be working.
No.
And also that again,
she does write a suicide note in the film, though.
She does, and that also again brings up the other point that I made about Beetlejuice.
If he worked under, but how come he's not stuck working somewhere there? He's able to.
Yeah, he got out of that.
He's like a rogue agent almost.
Maybe it was a grey area, and he is very old as well.
Well, when Michael Keaton asked Tim Burton about the character of Beetlejuice, he said he's from every time period and also no time period.
Right, okay.
Beetlejuice calls himself the most eligible bachelor since Valentino came over.
Yeah.
This is referencing Rudolph Valentino, the Italian actor of Hollywood cinema in the 1920s, who was nicknamed the Latin Lover and considered a heartthrob, but died in 1926.
Yeah, I clocked that one. I clocked that old reference.
The dialogue where Adam asks Barbara, "How's your arm?" after the crash, and she says, "I don't know, it feels frozen," is referencing an earlier, more gruesome version of their death scene, in which Barbara's arm was badly broken in the crash, and the Maitlands can be heard screaming for help as they drown.
Wow, that would have made quite a bit of a darker film there.
I'm glad they cut that nonsense.
Yeah.
The fact that their death is a comedic scene sets the tone for the rest of the film's dealings with death.
It does. It also don't really know it's their death scene until they figure out it's their death scene.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ambiguous and you can't hear them screaming. You just think, oh, they're back from, because they're just standing there wet. And you're like, all right, they're back from that.
Yeah.
From that unpleasant experience of ending up in the water. It's not until they figure it out.
It's not until Adam steps off the porch and sees the sandworm on Jupiter that you start to think that things going strange.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, the original plan for that scene and the way it was originally shot was, instead of a sandworm, Adam found himself in a black void being chased by giant electrical gears.
What? All right.
Yeah, the footage of this has been leaked since, black and white footage, because it's from a work print.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's obviously unfinished visuals and everything, but you get the gist. And sandworms are the way to go.
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, just before we wrap up trivia, I think it's time for David's Car Corner. David has one car thing he would like to say about the film Beetlejuice.
I do indeed. This little interesting tidbit that I have for you is, at the time that this movie was made, the reputation of the 240 series Volvos was that of the safest car in the world. Reportedly, no one had ever been killed in that series and vintage.
Oh, really?
The fact that Adam and Barbara died in one was a huge joke to Volvo owners.
Well, good for Volvo owners, I guess.
The fact that they all survived in that year and vintage of car.
Har, har, har. Usually Volvos are death traps, but this one,
actually,
safe as kittens.
Actually, Volvos are reportedly very, very safe cars overall.
Is that the kind of car you drive, David?
I do not. I drive a much more deadly car.
Very good.
No,
the Beetlejuice, the Beetlejuice model car.
Yeah. Sure, while we're here on Volvos, here's a little tidbit of information on Volvos as well. Slap this one in as a bonus.
What have I done? I've started a Volvo podcast.
You have indeed. It was actually
VolvoCast.
It was Volvo and Volvo car engineers that engineered and designed and could have patented the 3-point seatbelt.
All right.
But said, despite the fact that they would have made money, because it was a revolution essentially in seatbelts.
Yeah.
They could have made money off of every other car manufacturer in the world. Yeah. And by selling it to them or taking portional profits from every single car sale in the world. Yeah. They decided that they weren't going to patent it because it was too big of a safety thing and it was worth sharing. Oh, it should be shared instead.
Oh, that's lovely.
So there you go. That was Volvo's contribution to the world.
Very good.
Safety.
Volkswagen Beetlejuice.
That's the one. Arguably, the fuel that went into it is a Volkswagen Beetle's juice.
Mr. Comedian over here. That's the end of David's Car Corner. Toot toot. Toot sweet, out you go. That's the end of Trivia Juice. David, it's time for our new segment, Casting Couch. So I talk about people who were almost cast in the film Beetlejuice. Okay. Or whatever film we're talking about. Yeah. Unless I decide not to. I'm not doing this when we cover Terrifier, I'll tell you that much. Dustin Hoffman, Dudley Moore, John Cleese, Tim Curry, Robin Williams, Christopher Lloyd, Jack Nicholson, Jim Carrey, Bill Murray, and Robert De Niro were considered for the role of Beetlejuice.
Fucking hell. Anyone, basically.
Tim Burton originally wanted... Guess.
Jack Nicholson.
No, I already said that name. Guess the name I haven't fucking said.
Robin Williams?
Are you pulling my cock off right now? I just said Robin Williams.
Did you? Okay.
Were you listening to my list at all?
No. Yeah. I heard there were names.
Tim Burton originally wanted Take a Stab in the Dark. Any actor that I haven't fucking named. I thought this would be a funny bit because he'd say Johnny Depp.
Fuck it, let's just go with that.
You want to fucking say
Johnny Depp.
No, Sammy Davis Jr.
Fuck?
Yeah.
Sammy Davis Jr.?
Yeah.
Alright.
Oh.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Some of the producers wanted comedian Sam Kinison. I can see that.
Yeah, I can see that.
The role was offered to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Beetlejuice?
Yeah.
The role of Beetlejuice?
Yeah. But he was busy filming The Running Man, so he couldn't do it. I think it's one of those roles where
I've seen The Running Man.
I haven't. Is it good?
It's funny now.
Okay.
It never was supposed to be.
Oh. I keep meaning to watch it because I love a good Stephen King. I think Beetlejuice is one of those roles though where the role is what it is because Michael Keaton was cast. If any of these other actors had been cast, the role would be totally different. Yeah,
the entire movie would be very different. Despite him having a very small amount of screen time, he really, really sets the tone for the entire movie.
And a lot of these actors went on to play roles like Beetlejuice.
So
obviously, Jim Carrey was in The Mask. That's kind of a Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Jack Nicholson was the Joker.
Yeah.
Christopher Lloyd was in The Addams Family as Fester, Uncle Fester.
Yeah, yeah.
Tim Curry was in It.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger was in Batman and Robin.
Mr. Freeze.
We've seen that costume in person.
We have.
It was really cool.
It was cool. It looked pretty awesome, to be honest.
I know there's one of those costumes that he has, Arnold has in his house.
Yeah.
And he will quite frequently put it on at parties.
Yeah.
And walk around as Mr. Freeze.
I'd quite like to go to an Arnie party just for that.
To see him as Mr. Freeze now.
I'd still see
well.
that.
Just
I'd still go there just to see that. Some of the massive crystals that he holds in his hand and they look quite small are fucking enormous.
We've seen them in person and they're massive.
Yeah.
The role of Lydia, which is the Winona Ryder character, almost went to Alyssa Milano.
Remind me who Alyssa Milano is? Is she that from Charmed?
What?
Is she one of the
girls
from Charmed?
I don't watch fucking Charmed.
That's the only thing that popped into my head.
She was the Little Mermaid in the original animated movie.
Oh, okay. I don't know if she ever played Charmed.
I think she probably did. She was in Commando with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who we were just talking about. She's his daughter.
Commando. Right. Yeah, okay.
Juliette Lewis auditioned for it, but didn't get it, obviously. Heather Langenkamp from A Nightmare on Elm Street. Diane Lane, Lori Loughlin, Sarah Jessica Parker, Justine Bateman, Molly Ringwald, Jennifer Connelly, and Brooke Shields turned down the role.
Fucking hell.
Real weird scattershot of ages there.
Yeah.
Brooke Shields would have been like in her early 20s, I think.
Yeah, and then you get Sarah Jessica Parker.
When did Sex and the City start? Is that early 90s?
I feel like it might be early 90s.
She's in Mars Attacks. We'll get into it. She's in Mars Attacks 93 and she was like a news reporter or something. Angelica Houston was originally cast as Delia.
Alright.
She had to drop out due to an illness. Kirstie Alley was the first choice for Barbara, but couldn't join the cast due to filming commitments to the show Cheers.
God. What the fuck?
She's in Cheers, remember?
Yeah, I know, but Cheers? over Beetlejuice. I mean, to be fair,
it was like a contract thing. It was,
yeah, I know. It was one of those things you can't get out of it.
Same with Arnold and the Running Man.
Yeah. I'm glad the
He's
Running Man was there.
contracted into the Running Man.
I'm glad the Running Man was there. Arnold as Beetlejuice.
This is a Predator era as well.
Yeah, I can see why. Only out of popularity.
You know what,
Barney at that time.
You know what? I can see a late 90s, early 2000s Arnie doing a good Beetlejuice or a good Beetlejuice-esque role.
Hmm.
You remember he was in
it just wouldn't be the same.
Remember he was in Around the World in 80 Days?
Yeah.
For the role of Barbara, Goldie Hawn, Laura Dern, Sigourney Weaver, Linda Blair, and Linda Hamilton were also considered. I can definitely see Sigourney Weaver.
Hmm. I could see Sigourney Weaver.
Bill Pullman was considered for Otho. No, sorry, Bill Pullman was considered for Adam, the Alec Baldwin character. I wish he had been cast.
Yeah.
The first choice for director was not Tim Burton, it was Wes Craven.
That'd have been a different film.
Very different. That'd been a horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it would.
Here's a fun fact about Wes Craven, just for free. Never wanted to make horror movies. He wanted to make romance films.
How the hell did he end up falling into that?
Well, he was making low-budget movies to make ends meet, and he made a film called The Hills Have Eyes.
Right.
He hit big, and it was like every big hit that he had was a horror film, so he just kept making horror movies. Became known as the horror movie guy.
Oh, man. Sitting there crying himself to sleep about the fact that he's
I
never
think
made
he was fine with it. I think
I
he
would
eventually
imagine
did.
so,
He made
but-
a romance film with Diane Keaton and a bunch of other women and Sally Field.
Oh,
He did make romance movies
yeah,
and comedies.
yeah.
They just don't jump to mind when you think Scream
Craven.
and Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
Bob Hoskins, John Candy, Wayne Knight, and John Goodman were all considered for Otho.
That would have definitely changed.
He's a big guy. Surprised he didn't get Belushi. He was dead by that point.
Yeah.
And here's my last bit of casting couch nonsense.
Okay.
The magician assistant's lower half was played by Tim Burton's then girlfriend, Helena Bonham. No, I'm fucking kidding. It's someone else. It was played by his then girlfriend, it just wasn't Helena Bonham Carter. That's the end of whatever this was.
Casting couch.
That's the end of who was almost in Beetlejuice.
Very good. Well, interesting information there. They tried to cast the entirety of Hollywood.
Well, that's how it usually goes when you're casting a movie. Everyone gets considered. Everyone who's in the discussion at that point gets considered.
Yeah. Especially with something like this, they didn't even know that Tim Burton was going to be directing it until after the fact.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, they were involved from the get-go and they were always the choice.
Yeah, he was involved
which quite frequently happens.
He was involved very early on, but
he will have been, yeah.
Yeah, originally it was going to be Wes Craven, which is, I think, in a sense, it's kind of a shame. Because I always wish that Wes Craven has got to do more.
I think a really actual horror Beetlejuice would be an interesting thing to see. Oh, Beetlejuice is an antagonist, not just that guy is a bit of a sleaze antagonist. That would have been something to see.
Yeah. Speaking of sleazies, this is my last piece of trivia for real this time.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Jones, who played Charles Dietz in this, he's also in Stuart Little and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Was arrested in 2002 for soliciting a 14-year-old boy to produce sexually explicit images between September 2000 and May 2001. Jones photographed the child and paid him to pose nude on multiple occasions wearing a cowboy hat with stuffed animals and dressed as a Native American. Jones surrendered himself and was released on bond prior to arraignment, pleaded not guilty to the possession charge and no contest to a charge of soliciting a minor.
Fucking hell. Does it say anything about what his punishment was?
A misdemeanor charge of possession of child pornography was dropped following the no contest plea. His attorney emphasised that there were no allegations of improper physical contact. His punishment was 5 years probation, counselling, and the requirement to register as a sex offender. As of 2021, Jones was listed on the California Department of Justice National Sex Offenders Database.
Right, okay.
Jones was arrested twice for failing to update his sex offender status, first in Florida in 2004 and then in California in 2010.
Mm-hmm.
Jones pleaded guilty to the felony charges in California, receiving a sentence of 250 hours of community service and 3 years probation.
I've never understood why anyone ever gets sentenced probation. You're sitting there going 5 years probation, you do it again, and this time you're going to jail.
Aye.
You take more nude photos of this kid and you're going to jail. And it's like, what the fuck? Send the cunt to jail. Why the fuck are you even giving someone a 5-year probation? They should be going to jail with the first fucking time. At least there's no young boys in Beetlejuice. None that
But he does.
sharing a scene
He
with.
does smack Winona Ryder on the ass in one scene, and he sends her out of his office early in the film.
Yeah.
He was also in Batman the Animated Series
Right.
as Nivens in one episode. A bullet for Bullock.
That's our Sandra Bullock podcast.
A bullet for Bullock. I like it. He was in Dr. Dolittle too. That was after his pedophile allegation
fuck?
with Eddie Murphy. Oh my god. That's the end of Trivia Juice.
Was that the last thing that we did?
No, we also did the
I think we
casting
did
couch.
Casting couch.
I think I need to change that segment. I think that's unfortunate.
That is kind of unfortunate. What are we calling that segment? What the fuck are we doing?
Maybe I'll just edit out the part where I say at the beginning and the end.
When I was rewatching Beetlejuice
Yes.
for this last night.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. You set me off there. Just yes.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know why I'm throwing a spanner in the works.
So when I was sitting watching Beetlejuice last night in preparation for this, I realised just how quite a long film Beetlejuice actually is. Like, it's not long by
It's 90
today's.
minutes.
It's not long by today's standards,
It's a tight 90 minutes. It's an hour and a half.
but it feels like a bit of a longer movie.
Yeah, it does.
I'm not. It's not. It
Not in a
doesn't
bad way.
drag.
No,
It
no,
doesn't
no.
drag. It just feels like there's a lot more to it than a 90-minute movie.
One of the things I quite liked about the film is how, even though it's a film that deals entirely with death,
Yeah.
it never feels as though death is something to be sad about, or as if the film has a dour attitude about it because it's
Yeah.
about death,
Yeah.
or that death is some ending.
Hmm.
It's quite upbeat about death. and
About
treats it
death
as if
and
it's
the
a-
sort of afterlife, I guess.
quite a healthy way to go about it, honestly.
Yeah, I think the only sort of like area that it was like maybe what you would consider a little bit dark on that sort of subject is the Lost Souls room, but that's for people or ghosts that have been exorcised.
And that's just to add a bit of tension to the ending of the film.
Yeah,
In general, it's like...
But yeah, I agree with the fact that you're constantly met with the dead.
And they're not...
They're just fine,
a
really.
real sense of black humour about death, but not in in a way that's very upbeat and treats it as an inevitability.
Mm-hmm.
And when that guy is all charred up and he's like, "Want to smoke?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm trying to quit myself.
The guy who's been run over by traffic's like, "I feel a little flat."
Yeah. Aye. Getting fucking hung away with a tram line thing.
Whooshed in
A
a
monoline.
crack in the wall.
Yeah. Made to fit him, clearly.
Aye, what's that all about? It's odd that Juno is wearing modern. Also, every time I say Juno, I think Elliot Page in
Oh, God.
2008's
Yeah,
hit
same
film
here.
Juno.
Yeah.
Juno's dressed like a woman who would have died in 1988 when the film was set.
Hmm.
But she's obviously been dead for a while because she's got such a high position.
Yeah. And also, like what you said before, Beetlejuice
was her
her
assistant.
assistant.
Maybe she's also got the ability to
Sort of move forward a bit in time,
why
kind of thing.
well, she had to
modernise.
exist past this point because she's smoking.
Mm-hmm.
Presumably she smoked when she was alive, and she also slit her throat.
Mm-hmm.
And she's American.
True.
Begs even more of a question. How old could you be if you're an American?
True. And not Native American.
Like
Sort
American,
of thing, like
American, modern
American.
American.
Like, yeah. Like San Francisco, America sort of shade.
What a sentence to phrase it as for a modern. I like if I summarised it quite cleanly as, modern day kind of America. Like San Francisco kind of shite.
Yeah.
Golden Gate Bridge, Dirty Harry looking motherfucker. Speaking of Dirty Harry, there's a Dirty Harry reference in this. When Barbara grabs Beetlejuice and his spikes come out, he says, "Go ahead, make my millennium."
Yeah.
Aping the famous Dirty Harry quote, "Go ahead, make my day, punk."
Yeah.
Or "Go ahead, punk, make my day." Yeah. I love that the Maitlands never argue.
Yeah.
They're a very healthy couple. They get on really well.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of perfect in a sense.
They are.
But not unrealistically perfect, I would say. Perfect for one another.
Yeah. I would definitely say so. I like that. I like the fact that it was like this seemed to be them settling into their perfect life now that they get to do what they want. Because it alludes that they weren't able to or didn't have the space to do what they wanted in where they lived before.
Yeah, they've just moved there because the real estate agent whose daughter is always wearing the exact same outfit as her.
Yeah.
It's a nice little detail.
Yeah.
She mentions that she decorated that house.
Yeah, personally.
But what's also very odd is at the end when the Maitlands are redecorating it, they're putting up the old wallpaper.
Yeah.
I guess it's like a visual shorthand to show that it's the Maitlands returning it to how it was.
Yeah.
But still a bit odd.
Yeah, it is. I like the fact that that's all sort of going really well for them, and it's like the perfect little life, and that's when tragedy struck.
They're saying that they're trying for kids, but they're not able to have it, which kind of sets up their relationship with Lydia.
Yep.
Did you notice the number 3 motif throughout the film?
I don't think I did, no.
Well, there's the obvious one, say Beetlejuice 3 times.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
To knock on the door to make it appear
3 times.
Chalk door, that's 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Lydia knocks on the door to the attic 3 times.
All right, okay.
When Delia's getting her sculptures moved into the house, there are 3 when there should be 4.
So there are. Mm-hmm.
There's a few other examples throughout the film.
Right. No, I didn't clock that.
I had more, but I forgot. Dick Cavett is in this film. Did you spot Dick Cavett?
Yeah.
I love the Dick Cavett show.
Right.
It's like one of my favourite talk shows of all time.
I have not seen pretty much any of it, I don't think.
Oh, it's on YouTube, most of it. It's all cut up in just the interviews. So the piss has been taken out.
I've probably seen the odd clip here and there, but I just don't remember specifically.
Yeah, it's just, here's him talking to Orson Welles, here's him talking to such and such, here's him talking to Janis Joplin.
Right.
Great interviews.
Yeah.
But, yeah, well worth checking out.
Nice, I will.
Robert Goulet is in this. He's the guy with the mustache that Charles Dietz works for.
Oh, right,
yeah. Well, fans of Insert Brain here, our Simpsons podcast, might recognise the name Robert Goulet from an episode of Insert Brain here where we pointed out a video game in an arcade called Robert Goulet Destroyer. What a world.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I think one of the things I really love about this film, and maybe it's less specific to Beetlejuice and more indicative of just films at the time, is how not serious it takes itself, but how earnest it is. It's not self-referential or tongue-in-cheek. It's not a Deadpool and Wolverine winking at the audience. Not that I didn't like Deadpool and Wolverine. But you get the kind of filmmaking I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. The kind of very modern thing where films can't be sincere.
Yeah, they've either got to be like ridiculous or break the fourth wall.
Or
both.
I put some sort of a veneer of kind of sneering at the idea of being sincere.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the whole thing with the Marvel movies of being like, he's standing right behind me, isn't he? Kind of thing.
Aye.
All that nonsense.
Pish.
Yeah, so.
Don't get me wrong, I enjoy a little bit of that sometimes. Or I enjoy like a movie, watch that movie and then not watch any movie that's got that in it for a long time.
Yeah.
Which is fair enough, you know, you expect things like that in likes of Deadpool or whatever.
Yeah. Well, Deadpool, it's what the character's all about, so it kind of makes a bit more sense.
Yeah, precisely.
You could almost say that the character of Beetlejuice is similar to Deadpool in that sense, but it's a different kind of... It's just different. His there's no sense of breaking the fourth wall. There's no sense of even tapping the fourth wall gently. Yeah.
It's all well in character, well in film, and well in sort of in the movie.
It's so self-contained. It's why I'm worried about this Beetlejuice thing.
Yeah.
Neither of us have seen it, even though it's been out.
Well,
I might see it before this episode goes out, but if I do, I'll edit in a little brief Connor's Corner.
Oh, that'd be good.
I'll just kind of say my general thoughts briefly. Very good. But I think it's... I know we talked about a little bit in that casting segment about the people who could have been in this film. I really think it's some of the best work of a lot of the people who are involved. Not Gina Davis, obviously. She's amazing in Thelma and Louise and The Fly. But she's really great in this as well. It's like perfectly cast.
Yeah.
Exactly nails what her character is. Alec Baldwin is alright.
Yeah.
It's my favourite Alec Baldwin performance, and by that I mean it's totally forgettable. Sorry, it's my second favourite Alec Baldwin performance, second only to his role in The Cat in the Hat.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I forgot until you mentioned that earlier on, that he was even in it.
Aye.
But I think Alec Baldwin's performance in this is kind of overshadowed a little bit. Now, I don't want to give Alec Baldwin any props here.
Oh, God, forbid.
I think that his casting in this would be great if it wasn't for every other cast member being fucking excellent.
No, I think he's well cast. He's totally fine. He's just he is one of the more forgettable elements.
He is the forgettable element in this movie.
Yeah,
and arguably, other than a bit of someone to sound off of for forgotten her name,
Gina Davis'
Thank
character.
You. Yeah, for someone to sound off of there, arguably doesn't really even need to be in the movie.
Well, I guess there's the entire element of the couple, the Maitlands, who have obviously wanted to have kids.
Yeah,
and have been. It's sort of a subtext. It's never really spoken aloud, but it's sort of mentioned that they wanted to have kids, and the real estate agent wanted to move them out of that house because the house should be for a family
that has kids.
And they've been trying to have kids, but they're not able to, seemingly. And then obviously they kind of become surrogate parents for the Winona Ryder character.
Yeah.
So I guess it needs to be a couple for that to work.
I suppose it does need to be the sort of atomic family situation going on.
And I think they're a good couple. Like the
nuclear family.
Nuclear family, not atomic family.
Atomic.
It needs to be a nuclear blast of a family. It needs to be a Fallout family.
Perfect.
That dog in there.
Aye.
Get the ghoul.
Get a fucking mutant somewhere around there as well.
Ella Purnell.
What's the...
Rads.
Yeah, aye.
So you're talking about Rads?
The fucking Rad Raiders and all that stuff.
Oh, Raiders,
and Rad Roaches and whatever.
Anyway, all that good stuff.
Beetlejuice. I don't know where we were going.
I don't know where that came from. Oh, jump scare.
Yeah.
Walton Goggins jump scare. Whoa.
I think it's a really good movie. I think
I've still got
the
more
casting is fucking excellent.
I saw you going for a wrap up. I've got more to say.
I'm aware.
I only just started doing the casting thing.
Oh, are you going on?
I did Gina Davis, and I briefly touched on Alec Baldwin.
Right.
You were like, well, that's time.
No, I was finishing up about Alec Baldwin because I was you were putting him down a little bit, and don't get me wrong, Alec Baldwin should be put down in the backyard behind the shed.
You'd have to outdraw him.
Don't worry, he's probably got blank.
That's what you think.
That's allegedly what he thinks.
Okay.
Anyway.
I mean, we have to talk about Michael Keaton in this title role.
Obviously, yeah.
Oh my god. I remember seeing this for the first time. I was maybe about 12-ish.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, it contradicts what I said earlier on. I was fairly young. I wasn't like a child, but
yeah,
I'd seen Bill and Ted, I know that much.
Yeah.
I remember thinking this is like the same era.
Yeah.
But I remember watching it and thinking, who's this guy that's playing Beetlejuice? And I think it was some sort of family member who was like, oh, that's Michael Keaton from Batman. And I went, no. And she's like, no, that's not Batman. That's not Michael. I've seen Michael Keaton in that and other things.
Yeah.
I've seen him in the Dream Team.
And Jack Frost.
And, how could I forget Jack Frost? That's that film where there's a snowman slasher, right?
Close enough.
Yeah, he's unrecognisable.
He really
I think
is.
the only point where he vaguely resembles Michael Keaton is when he does that bit where Alec Baldwin asks Beetlejuice about his qualifications of being a ghost.
Oh, yes.
And Beetlejuice kind of drops the facade of doing like the crazy Beetlejuice voice and all the bits. And he's like, well, I think it's Juilliard. And that's like Michael Keaton's real voice.
Yeah.
That's what he drops down into.
Yeah.
That's the only point where you can kind of see the actor through the performance, and the entire rest of the film is just...
It's Beetlejuice.
Oh, it's incredible. It's up there with like Jim Carrey in The Mask and Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah.
Just like incredible comedic performances. Yeah, and I mean, I'd be remiss if we didn't mention Catherine O'Hara.
Of course, yeah.
It's probably best known for Home Alone.
Yeah.
It's the woman who screams Kevin.
I'm glad you didn't.
No, not again.
No, not again.
She's, comedy legend in her own right.
Yeah. I think she plays this role very well because she's a very dislikable character.
At first, yeah.
Yeah, at first. I mean, obviously you get used to the character, and that's really quite impressive. Well written.
Yeah.
As well as well acted. But she's a very dislikable character, but I think if almost anyone else played her, she'd be a loathable character. But I got really close to the point where I was like, I really dislike this woman. It tickled that line and brought me almost to that point, and then back down again.
I can't say that I ever got there because I think it's such a comedic performance. I never even thought about loathing her.
I kind of just, while watching it, I kept putting myself in the people that were in whatever scene she was in. I ended up putting myself in their position. Yeah. And that's where the grating happened. I do that a lot with like movies or whatever.
I usually put myself in the position of a different character who's played by me.
Right.
An original character.
A fly in a wall sort of situation.
No, a main character.
Oh, very good.
Who's an additional character.
Well, I tend to put myself in other characters in the movies' point of view, and get annoyed on their behalf or whatever.
I understand what you mean. I've seen that character done in the way that you're talking about in other movies, The Parent Trap.
Yeah.
Or The Addams Family, one of those.
Yeah.
The one that has Joan Cusack.
Yeah.
As the woman who tries to lure Uncle Fester away from the family.
Yes.
Whichever one that is.
Well remembered.
It's the same.
Yeah, is that Addams Family Values?
There are plots in both Addams Family movies from the 90s. The main two, not Addams Family, whatever the third one is.
Yeah.
Addams Family Goes Golf or whatever. Addams Family Goes Golf Crazy.
Yeah.
Where someone tries to swindle Uncle Fester away from the family.
Yeah, for whatever reason.
I do not understand why.
But yeah, you were saying about those characters, the way they were...
Yeah, they can be kind of grating to where the irritability factor takes over and reduces in the comedy. And you kind of, even when they're being funny, you're a bit like, whoa, you're just rubbed up the wrong way.
Yeah, just stop giving me scenes with this woman.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
Especially when the plot hinges on them, or I guess when they're put in an antagonistic role. Which Delia kind of is, but isn't. They're almost faux antagonists, the Dietzes.
Yeah.
They're there.
Antagonists by proxy.
Yeah, they're there to set up the need for the true antagonist, which is also Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's amazing in this. I love even Jeffrey Jones. Bad bloke, but he's good in this. He's a very good comedic actor, unfortunately.
It is quite unfortunate, but he plays his role to a T in this. It's very good.
Yeah, Winona Ryder, obviously, amazing as Lydia.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this was after Heathers.
Really?
Heathers was 87, this is 88.
Oh.
Isn't that... Because I always think in my mind, I'm like, in Beetlejuice, she must be like 12, 13.
Yeah.
And in Heathers, she's like 18, 19.
Wow, she looks like way younger in this.
Yeah, she looks like a child in this and like a late teens in Heathers.
Yeah.
And I love Heathers. We need to cover that at some point.
Oh, definitely.
Whenever they do Heathers 2, Heather All About. Heathers 2, X-Men Unite.
Oh, God.
Two heads to hers. Heathers 3, Tokyo Drift. Anyway, that's enough of this bit. Heathers 2, Attack.
I'd watch that one.
Heathers 2, Attack of the Clones.
Oh, God.
Heathers 2, The Two
watch
Towers. That makes me think of 9/11.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too.
That tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
We've done this bit before.
Yeah, we have.
No. Lastly, I want to give a spit. Even the little bit players only have like one or two scenes. Juno's amazing.
You said Juno. I thought other Juno.
You thought Elliot Page.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
pregnant teen. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah.
The other, the receptionist who slit her wrists.
Mm-hmm.
He's only in that one scene, maybe two scenes.
Mm-hmm.
But amazing.
Yeah.
Perfectly played. The guy who presumably threw himself into traffic has been flattened.
Yeah.
Hysterical.
Yeah. I really like it. I think you just kind of summed it up perfectly earlier on about the fact that there's so much like death and down about the movie, but none of it's down.
Mm-hmm. Even like characters they have like one line.
Mm-hmm.
They're so perfectly realised in their look and in their performance and how they were written and how unique all of that is and how it comes together. The guy smoking the cigarettes, like there's no other movie where you could see that.
Yeah,
we could have a character like that and have
immolated
it work
man
as well. Yeah, trying to cut back
Smoking.
myself.
Yeah.
Perfect joke, absolutely
Yeah,
nailed.
exactly. Yeah. It's a really, really good movie.
Yeah, I love Beetlejuice.
I've got high hopes, but also great concerns about Beetlejuice.
I've heard good things about it.
I have also heard good things about it. I've been deliberately trying to keep my thumb off the pulse on this one.
I couldn't help but catch bits of teasers and stuff here and there.
Right, yeah.
I've seen a few little things.
I have seen, in one thing, I've seen a picture of Michael Keaton as Beetlejuice.
Oh, I've seen pictures of all the recurring cast members.
Really?
I know several of the other actors that are in it. Do you want to hear any of their names? Just to get your reaction here live on the pod.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Willem Dafoe.
Willem Dafoe? Okay. I like Willem Dafoe.
I love Willem Dafoe.
I think that would be great.
Jenna Ortega.
Okay, yeah.
From Wednesday. Tim Burton did Wednesday.
Yeah.
Justin Theroux.
I know the name. Remind me.
Mulholland Drive. Zoolander.
Right, okay.
Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Yeah.
That guy, he's the Irish guy in Charlie's Angels Full Throttle.
Yeah.
He's in it.
Yeah. Nice. It's not, I'm hoping, you didn't name, like, you need 3 people, and there's obviously a good list of other people that are going to be in it, but I'm hoping it's not going to run along the lines of, here's cameo.
It's not like cameos. Those are actors who are in the films in full roles.
Good.
Yeah.
Because I hate it when they just come and take a good movie and decide that the sequel is going to be only cameos.
Yeah, I hate that as well. Anything else you want to add, David? I think we're almost ready to wrap it up, really.
I think we're pretty much getting there.
One last thing I wanted to add. Isn't it insane that the iconic white and black striped suit, right?
Mm-hmm.
He wears that for like a minute.
Yeah.
And not until the finale. That scene where...
Yep.
I almost said Jenna Ortega, where Winona Ryder comes over to the miniature and he's sitting there and the Maitlands are getting sucked dry.
Yeah.
That's the first time he's sitting on the tombstones, and that's the first time where he's in that suit.
Yeah. It's very, very brief, but it's the most known suit. To be fair, it's a pretty fucking sharp suit.
It's pretty good.
I like it.
It fits his overall aesthetic better than any of his other outfits.
I think so, yeah.
You know who else Beetlejuice reminds me of? The ghost of Christmas Past from Scrooged.
Ah. Yeah, I can see that. Brain never added those two together. Sat them side by side.
Any final thoughts for me, David?
I have nothing more to add, I don't think. We've just loved on this movie quite a bit.
Yes. Well, you don't have to worry about that with our next episode in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, good.
We'll be returning, walking through the doors of this big movie house, dancing down the steps of this big movie house to cover Joker 2019.
Oh, so we will. So we will.
You forgot all about it, didn't you?
I did indeed.
Every time I think about this show, I forget that next we are covering Joker 2019.
Yeah.
I skipped to what we're doing after that.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, well.
Yeah. Well.
Just you put a smile on that face, I suppose.
I haven't seen Joker 2019.
I've only seen it once when it came out, so...
Right. We'll watch it for this and see what the crack is.
Yes, we will. The crack in my mind because I'm so twisted, David. I'm the Joker. I'm all nuts. I'm crazy. He's not right, he's a loon. His twisted worldview would shock you, I think. He makes Beetlejuice look like Insect Man. look like normal man with no Beetlejuice in his bones.
Oh, fucking hell.
That's
something.
He's dancing down those steps, he's spinning a big sign, he's saying, "Hello, I am the Joker."
Alright.
We're doing that obviously to ride the Algorithmic Express. That is the release of Joker 2, A Folie à Deux.
Is that actually what it's called?
Yes.
Really?
Did you not know about A Folie à Deux? Do you know who's in Joker 2?
No.
Harley Quinn is in it.
Okay.
Who do you think is playing Harley Quinn in Joker 2?
Well, it's not going to be...
It's not Margot Robbie.
Thank you.
Because she's Jared Leto's Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
This is Joaquin Phoenix.
Oh, yeah. What's that blonde woman that's an influencer that basically somehow shimmied her way into being some sort of celebrity?
Do you know how little that narrows that down?
Good point. Never mind. No idea, mate. No idea.
Lady Gaga.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, I'm not. And it's going to be a musical as well.
Oh, fuck my life.
We'll see how much time we have. Maybe we'll go to the cinema and see Joker 2, A Folie à Deux. Make that a double episode.
Oh, I don't know how much
Yeah,
shitting in an episode we could actually get.
You don't know how much of his twisted mind you could handle. What if he laughed at something that wasn't funny? What would you do then? What would you do?
I don't know, man.
You'd be just as crazy as he is. And you wouldn't even scratch the surface of his true insanity. He's a freak, he's not normal.
Apparently so.
Well, I think that's the end. I think we're calling it there.
Yeah.
We should prepare ourselves for the Joker and his house of laughs. This has been Movie House. I've been your host, Connor, and with me, as always, has been the host with the most, Beetlejuice.
That's been me?
No, I was Beetlejuice, I think.
Yeah, probably.
No, I was, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was Gina Davis, I think. I think I was Gina Davis.
Yeah.
In a past life. That's all from us. We'll see you in 2 weeks, a fortnight. Fortnite Battle Pass.
Oh god, don't even go into Fortnite.
Has Beetlejuice been added to Fortnite? Beetlejuice.
Ah, fuck, here we go.
C for 22 Productions, honey boy.